Okay, I don't know what happened with the last recording, but I'm going to do this recording again. And this time I'm going to just show you the problems and just go through them because I already erased the problems. I'm trying to figure out, okay, here we go. 6, 3, 6, no, 6, 13, 14, 15, and I think 16. I think that's the last one. Yeah, I believe so. I think this is number 16. Okay, I'm going to put these up and hopefully this will work this time. I don't know why my camera wasn't working last time on the last set of videos, but I'm trying the best I can. I'm trying to do the best I can. And we'll go ahead and look at, I'm just going to talk. I'm not going to do the problems. I'm just going to let you look at them. The first question is this question. And I want to make sure that I think I am recording. I'm going to make, yeah. And the question is 1/2 x squared minus 2x plus 7. Now, whenever we see the words determine and evaluate in the directions, they mean the same thing. Only one has a different outcome than the other. When you see the word determine, that means you're going to get a true or false answer, which means that you're going to plug in the numbers and you're going to see if the statement is true or not. When you evaluate, you basically plug in the numbers and you get a solution. All right? The two things that I go over in the videos, I go over when you plug and chug, you've got to use parentheses, and whenever there's a fraction, you always make everything else a fraction. And this one has a fraction, so you will see me make everything a fraction like I do in my videos. So here is the problem. And 1/2 x squared minus 2x, plus 7. And the 2/3, I put it in orange because we're going to plug that in. And if you notice, I plug it in. I plug in 2/3 in the parentheses here, and I plug in 2/3 in the parentheses there. And as soon as I do that, I make everything a fraction. Well, 1/2 is a fraction, so you don't have to change it. But I changed the 2/1, I changed that into a fraction, and then later on down here, you don't have to do it down here, you can do it here, you can do it here. I changed the 7 into a fraction. 2/3 is 4/9. 2 times 2 is 4. 1 times 3 is 3, so that's 4/3. And then the 7/1, I just bring it down. I can cancel, or I can do 1 times 4 and 2 times 9 and then reduce that. Either way, you're going to get 2/9. And bring the 4/3 down and the 7/1 down. And now I've got to get a common denominator. Now, in the first unit, we found the common denominator when we found the greatest common divisor. And that's this number right here, 3 times 3. And if you don't know what this is, then you haven't watched my videos. 3 times 3 is 9, so 9 is the common denominator. 9 will go into 9 one time. 1 times 2 is 2. 3 will go into 9 3 times. 3 times 4 is 12. 1 will go into 9 9 times. 9 times 7 is 63. And when you finish doing the math, you get 53/9. And I punched it into the question on the last video and it was correct. So I'm going to leave this up for a second and I'm going to let you pause the video so you can either take a picture of it or write it down. All right, that was question number 6. This is question number 13. Question number 13 is in black. It says 2/5 x plus 4/5 is equal to negative 2/5. And then we go over here. Whenever you want to clear a fraction in an equation, well, Hubert, why didn't we do that back here on number 6? Well, this is not an equation. It doesn't have an equal sign. See? That one doesn't have an equal sign. There's no equal sign in this equation right here. There's no equal sign, so it's not an equation. You're just plugging and chugging. In this problem, not only do we have equations, but we have variables, so that means if you don't have anything to plug in, that means that you need to solve for that variable. And you do that by multiplying through by the common denominator. The common denominator of 5, 5, and 5 is 5, so I'm going to multiply by 5 over 1 and 5 over 1. I put a baby step in here, 5 over 1, 5 over 1, 5 over 1, because I'm multiplying by each one of these terms. And then that gives us 2x plus 4 is equal to negative 2. 2x plus 4 is equal to negative 2. Now I want to get the x by itself, so I got to move the 4 across the river. That's the river, that little wavy line's the river. And that gives you a negative 4. Or you could say, I want to get rid of positive 4, so I'm going to subtract 4 on the left, and I'm going to subtract 4 on the right. However you want to do it, I don't care. And that gives us negative, so 2x is equal to negative 6. Divide both sides by 2, and you get x is equal to negative 3. Plug back in to check. This is the check. And I would highly suggest doing this right now in this unit, because here you're getting 2 exercises with 1 exercise. You're doing the solve with fractions and you're doing the check with fractions, and all this does is reinforce each other with practice if you choose to check, because you get extra practice. And again, I change that, since this is a fraction, I'm going to change that negative 3 into a fraction. That's negative 3 over 1, and I plug it in right there. I do the math, and you get both of them equal to negative 2/5. So since the equation balances, that means that the negative 3 is the correct answer. And I'll leave that on the board. I'll leave that on the paper right there for about 5 seconds, so you can pause it or you can take a picture of it. Okay, so that's number 13. Number 14. 4 times x plus 2 in parentheses is equal to 2 times 2x plus 1 in parentheses plus 6. Now, when you're solving these types of equations, like number 13 and number 14 and number 15, number 16, or whatever the case may be, you got 3 types of solutions. Now, I cover this in my videos because you cannot teach algebra and not teach these 3 rules. And either I teach them in a homework question on the videos, or I teach them in the classroom while doing my notes. Either one. I go over this every semester. So my videos have this information right here. Okay? What's the first type? 90% of the time, your equation is going to spit out a solution. And therefore, x is going to be equal to a number. Okay, x is equal to 5, x is equal to 2, x is equal to 1/2, x is equal to negative 7. Okay, you're going to get a number for the solution. Okay, that's one type of problem. The other type of problem is where you get something that is 100% true. X is equal to x, 10 is equal to 10, 5 is equal to 5, 1/2 is equal to 1/2. 2x plus 4 is equal to 2x plus 4. Negative 8 is equal to negative 8. All these statements are what we call identities. They mean they are true. Okay? A true identity. Both sides are equal. Therefore, the only answer is all real numbers, which is that big R. Or you can write out all real numbers. Or you can put negative infinity to positive infinity with parentheses and a comma. Okay? All real numbers means that any number will work in the equation. Any number, and you'll get a true statement. The third type is what we call a contradiction. A contradiction is when you come up with an untrue statement and you have done the math correctly or the algebra correctly. And you come up with 6 is equal to 127, or -4 is equal to +4, or 4 is equal to 8. That is an untrue statement. So by contradiction, the answer is no solution. Either write out no solution or a 0 with a slash through it. Okay? So that is how that's the 3 types of problems that you're going to get in algebra. 90% of the time you're going to get a solution. But the other 10 or 20%, depending on how many solutions you have, the other 10 or 20% might be a identity statement, or it might be a contradiction statement, which means your answer would be respectively all real numbers or no solution. So how do we do this problem? Well, the first thing we got to do is bust up the cement blocks. Again, if you don't know what I'm talking about, you haven't watched my videos. Bust up the cement block using the distributive law. And that's going to be 4x plus 8 is equal to 4x plus 2 plus 6. And then 6 plus 2 is 8. We have a true statement, so the answer is all real numbers. And you can write it out, all real numbers, or you can put negative infinity to positive infinity. Next question. Next question is number 15. Number 15 says T depends on humidity. The temperature, or the time it takes for clothes to dry on the clothesline when the humidity is at a certain percent. Okay, is given by this formula. T is equal to 2 times h squared plus 90 times h plus 40. So you have to plug in the humidity. The humidity at this problem is 90%. Well, we can't type in 90%. We can't put 90% into a formula. When you plug percent into a formula, you have to change the percent to a decimal. That's why I covered this in the last unit. I think it was 10.1. Okay, conversions of decimals to percents to fractions. And now you plug in 0.9, and I did it on the calculator, and that gives us 1.62 plus 81 plus 40, and I came up with 122.62. And that is number 15. And I'm giving you a little time after I finish so you can pause the video or look at the problem. Again, a ball is kicked h feet in the air given the time in seconds. So if a ball is, if you kick it and it's 5 seconds, then that 5 seconds will tell you how far the ball goes up in the air. And they give you 3 seconds. They want to know how far does the ball go up in the air at 3 seconds. 0 being when you kick the ball, and 3 seconds being from the time you kick the ball. And it's given by this formula, negative 16t squared plus 75t plus 3. So naturally they give you 3 seconds, that's time, which is t. So you're going to plug and chug. This is a plug and chug problem, just like number 6. Only number 6 was a fraction. This is a whole number. And as you can see, I drew my parentheses. I plugged in 3, and I did my calculations using my calculator. And when you finish, you should get 84 feet. So at 3 seconds after you kick the ball, that ball is 83 feet or 84 feet in the air. And I'll leave that up a few seconds just in case you need it. And that was all the questions that were sent to me today. That was out of 6.1. number 6, number 13, number 14, number 15, or 6. Hold on a second. That's number 6, 13, 14, 15, and 16. Hope that helps.